give a...
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
I'm just getting my computer set up, getting ready. I'll just get it wrong. We are going to begin with, today is Sunday, so we're going to begin with the chant for the planets and then for Surya, the sun god. And Surya is our living god, so we can see him, and ancient cultures always honored the sun. So today when we are doing that mantra, just keep that in mind, that you want the sun to, the outer sun to be the inner sun. Om Brahma Murari Tripurantakari Bhanu Shashi Bhumi Suto Budhascha Guruscha Shukraha Shanirahu Ketava Sarve Graha Shanti Bhavo Japa Kusum Sankasham Kashyapeyam Mahadvitim Tamorim Sarva Papagnam Pranato Asmi Devakaram Om Shanti 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 Om Peace Peace Peace. So 2 days ago I spoke about Jyotish and karma and how the planets are grasping us, and how we then become kind of controlled by their energies. And yesterday I was fortunate enough to listen to Swami Sita's talk on subconscious consciousness and superconsciousness. So some of you were there in the class. And that made me really think about the planets. And you see, the point is this, that when the transits are difficult, they are encouraging our subconscious to act. So when they are difficult, they encourage that old behavior patterns, negative behavior patterns. Doesn't mean they all come out, but they encourage that. So that is the key point, that they encourage you to react according to your set pattern. Because the set pattern has been set by your karma and it can become solidified by always reacting in the same way. In India, many people say that, by the time you turn 60, you become, there's a word called satyajana, means you get fixed in your ideas. Whereas we don't want that. We want that by the time we are older, we are actually becoming more flexible, because we are not getting our karma all stuck in a way. So we want to encourage that concept. So yesterday it was very interesting and very inspiring really to think about that, and what Swamiji said, that the superconscious brings the inspiration. So when we are looking at planets now, we are not looking at from a point of view of being afraid of anything or worrying about them, but to be understanding that when the planets are tough, that means they are encouraging us to give up our sadhana, our voices in our head, if they, you can say that, all of us have those telling us, oh, don't do our good projects. They are encouraging us to break our sadhana. So, you see, then why the sages looked at Jyotisha? It's not something that is a sun sign astrology, it's a very deep subject. This was the reason why they studied and they looked at Jyotisha, was that they would understand those pitfalls in their time. And in a way, understand the weakness of time. So that when you understand the weakness of time, then you can prepare for it. You can have some idea what is going to happen and how it's going to deal with it. So your first and most important challenge comes tomorrow. Because we talked about the moon. So moon is perpetually doing something that is on a regular basis. We have a new moon, a half moon, a full moon. That is our normal thing. Then we have a waxing moon, a waning moon. Then twice a year we have eclipses, a solar eclipse, lunar eclipse. This year we had the solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, the first set of them in March. And the second set of them are in September. So these are natural phenomena, they happen every year. So that means every year there are certain times that are naturally not conducive to light, because the sun and the moon are our lights. So when they get eclipsed, they are naturally not conducive for us to develop. The eclipses may not be visible here, although the last lunar eclipse was visible in California. But it may not be visible, then they are even, in my view, more disturbing. Because we don't know what is happening. At least if the eclipse is happening, it's on the press, everybody's saying, oh, there's an eclipse, so you are aware of it. But what happens with the eclipse is the energy gets very disturbed. And our forefathers always said, or the sages, not forefathers, but the sages said, that at the time of eclipse, our sadhana should be more. So people spend time doing practice. I think a few years ago when the solar eclipse was in California, here at the ashram, Swamiji led a long meditative energy. So instead of being depressive, you were really connecting to some special energy of the eclipse. But averagely, if you are at home or you are not there, you'll start feeling something strange. The energy shifts. So then what do? We then try not to take refuge in our subconscious. Because from yesterday's class, 95% to the untrained person is subconscious. As we are training, we are developing lower and lower subconscious. It's not that we want to let it go, but we are training ourselves to consciously react. And then instead of taking instinct from below, we take inspiration from above. So, and that can only come when you are aware of these pitfalls as well in your practice. So, the next set of eclipses, as I said, are in September, 13th of September and 28th of September. These are California times. They may slightly vary in different places. This year, actually, 28th of September is also a start of the time to remember and honor those who have died. It's a 15-day festival. You know, you have the Day of the Dead in the Mexico, and even Halloween is somehow connected to that. But in India, we have 15 days. So this 28th, the eclipse starts those 15 days of fasting, of honoring those whose path we walk in. But so you remember those dates. You can also sometimes I find that that whole energy is a bit messed up between one eclipse and the other. Nothing specifically happening, but how you feel. And especially because this is a yoga ashram, we are talking about the sadhana aspect. That it is very easy to allow your sadhana to go astray, to allow your subconscious voice to speak up. So and the moon, as I said, it's regularly doing that. But tomorrow, what I said earlier on is the other planet for the mind. We have a second planet for the mind. You see, we have Atma, Buddhi and Manas. So Atma is the soul is eternal. It doesn't change. When we say our soul is doing this, our soul is not doing anything, it's the same. And I think yesterday Swamiji said to know that something within us doesn't change. You know, that is the wisdom. Once we start going into the higher levels of knowledge, we know that something is eternal. So that is the soul, and that is the sun, really. The sun, not just the visible sun, but the internal sun. That is not changing. And one very interesting thing about the sun is that it doesn't change. Every year it does.